Signed up for the meetup, we should get an update. Probably do maybe last week of June this year to avoid the July 4th holiday probably next time. Anyway, my name is David. I work here at Geekdom. I'd like to thank Geekdom for always providing the meeting space here. If anyone's looking for a co-working space, it's pretty cool. Desks out here start at $300 a month. And also like to thank Radius for sponsoring the event tonight.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Camera.
All right, camera. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to introduce John Hurley, who's the head of product for Radius, which is a very cool looking analytics product.
Cool. Thanks, David.
Thanks for
having us.
Yeah.
We got videos everywhere. This is scary.
Oh, there's a lot. You have your own video?
No, I mean that one, this one. It's pretty nerve-wracking.
Oh, that's okay.
Right, well, in order to crack the nerves a little bit, I have an icebreaker. This was the part where I told a few people there's a little nudity in my, so don't be offended. But
Who's
I always
that?
start internal meetings with icebreakers, and then I started doing this on some webinars, and then quickly realized, oh yeah, like everyone's muted on webinars, so you don't get any feedback, so it's just really awkward.
Do you want feedback today?
Not today, no awkwardness today. So, tell me, and it can't be Salesforce, so all the Salesforce people out there, this is a tough question because a lot of times enterprise software companies get a bad rap for not having very exciting brands. But in your opinion, what is the most badass enterprise software brand from a marketing perspective? Who has like the best brand out there? Like you'd say Nike if it was consumer, maybe.
Well, Salesforce.
I said no Salesforce. You can't say
Oh,
Yeah, well, we can tell you who it's not. It's an easier question.
Okay. Who's that?
Trick
Certainly not
question.
CA Technologies.
Okay.
Maybe at the bottom, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
IBM tries to buy clones, but they're not cool.
Yeah. It's like we talk about so many things that are so big and aspirational that no one can do it. So that's why we talk about it.
well, there's a lot of Salesforce applications that are pretty good.
Cool. What do you got? You got one.
I mean, I would say
Who do you aspire?
aspire to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like Apple, but they're they're kind of also consumer as well.
Yeah.
It's hard to call Apple enterprise
They're
software.
enterprise
I know.
software.
No, I'm just saying thinking of brands, but
Yeah.
You wanted to say Microsoft, you just didn't have the guts.
no. I mean Microsoft, yeah, but
If Microsoft does buy Salesforce,
That's
yeah. You were saying
That's what we're all waiting for here.
You were saying who do you want to be?
I'm announcing it today.
Yeah.
It was announced on the news.
I know. Anyone like have this
New
guy?
Relic?
New Relic? That's a good answer. New Relic has some great marketing.
Intercom.
Intercom has some solid. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, Intercom has some solid marketing. But New Relic's a really, really good answer. Anyone else?
Tableau?
Tableau?
Yeah.
You like their marketing? It's okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for breaking that.
What's yours, Rock? What?
What's the answer?
There's no answer. This is personal opinion only.
So what's yours then?
So we aspire to be the best. That's what our target is, right? Being the best enterprise software brand. I mean, that's coming from the product marketing person. But I do actually New Relic. That's a softball because he works at Radius, so he threw that one out to me. I do love New Relic. I think they do really great marketing. Really good branding. Salesforce is a good one, and let's see. I don't know. New Relic's a hard one to beat, honestly. They do some good stuff, and it's a really boring product. So, anyone use New Relic? No. Okay. So before I get started, I want to introduce myself. So John Hurley, run product marketing over at Radius. I've been at Radius for about 2.5 years now. And I want to get to know you guys a little bit more. So just by like show of hands, I want to understand a little bit more about the roles in the room so we can figure out what people care about in here. So who here is a marketer? Cool. Several marketers. Who is a developer? Who's a recruiter? A few recruiters. Cool. Who's in sales? A few sales folks. Cool. Who's a founder, owner of their business? Awesome. Some entrepreneurs. Cool. So we kind of have a gamut. All right. So today we're going to talk a little bit about some analytical problems that we tried to solve and that are near and dear to our hearts, and we think are pretty unique, and specifically in the marketing and sales space. So for a little bit of context, we'll kind of arrive at what Radius is and do a demo for everybody. But we're really looking at the B2B space, sales and marketing in the B2B space, and trying to really understand what some of the problems are for companies that are trying to grow their business, their B2B business. How are they really powering their customer acquisition? How are they, from a strategic standpoint, understanding which markets are going to be the most have the most impact on their pipelines, and down to the tactical of what are we going to make our email subject line? What data can really help us make the right decisions to really increase our ROI, to increase our response rates, and so we really try to factor in all these objectives of a sales marketing org. And then one of the really key things for our brand is design. Sometimes some of the reasons that a lot of these enterprise software companies do not get a great rap is because they don't put really design as one of their pillars. And design is really one of our pillars. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that and show you the product and kind of show off what the product team has been able to do and our design team's been able to do. So please ask questions as we're going through. Kind of one of the main principles that we like to think about, there's a lot of analytical tools out there. There's a lot of the focus for companies is about reduction. So a lot of analytics is about reducing. So reducing risk, reducing options so that you arrive at the right decision. And that's extremely powerful. But we also like to think about analytics in the sense of being additive as well. So how can analytics actually help you expand or grow, not just reduce your options? From one of our biggest principles that really when you look at large companies or companies that aspire to be large or even ones that are going to market, they're really looking for those new markets that they can expand into. Now the problem is that people really suck at doing it. They fail a lot. This was something from McKinsey that we landed on recently, and some conversations we've been having with them. And people really fail at market expansion. So we try to figure out why is that. Like, why do people fail at something that's so fundamental and so crucial for them to grow their business? And then we really try to solve for it. So that's really what Radius has been trying to solve for. And we look at really two main activities that we believe are really broken, that are fundamental to marketers expanding. The first one is customer segmentation. A kind of tried and true, marketing kind of 101 is trying to understand, who buys and who doesn't. Who are our customers, right? Who's our ideal customer profile, or profiles? What are the different groups? What's been working? What's been converting those people into, or those companies into clients? Who's in our pipeline today? Who should we that is going to convert? Let's prioritize those, right? And then once you have all these, you think you have all these answers, then it's going out into the market and trying to figure out, okay, what's the market look like from there? What's our total addressable market? within all these customer profiles. This whole process of identifying lookalikes. We hear a lot about lookalikes from B2C. This is something that's been out with B2C for a long time and doing lookalike profiling on Facebook, on Twitter. But that's really the activity, right? Even if you're a sales rep, you close the perfect client. Let's say they just flew through the pipeline, they bought the biggest package, you hang up the phone, they just signed the proposal, and you're like, holy shit, how do I go find more of those, right? You're trying to identify lookalikes. The marketing end is trying to do the same thing, but on a larger market size level. And then really, how do you iterate on these campaigns that start actually penetrating those markets, saturating those markets? Now the problem is these two things are siloed. So typically the first thing that happens is customer segmentation. The second thing is market segmentation. Now the only time market segmentation happens first is a lot of times where you have a strategic initiative, right? Like whether it's the CXO or the board or some thing that I thought of in the shower. This is I decided we're going after this market, and in that case, then you just do market segmentation, right away. This creates a lot of problems. Now the first thing and each one has unique problems. So the first thing is on the ideal customer profile. So typically and some people in this room that have kind of heard different companies in the space talk about this problem might have seen something similar where typically you're doing all this internal segmentation based on the data that you already maintain. You're taking data from Salesforce, from your marketing automation. Maybe you bought data and you have it in spreadsheets. You're trying to merge or munge all that together to arrive at some insight, right? Some profile that tells you, oh, we convert really well here. Now, the thing is, most of the data is not in your CRM. It's not things that really you can even buy, and even if you do buy, you're not able to process. There's this whole world of dynamic data out there, whether that's social data, web data, behavioral data, searches, anything you can think of that we all have heard a million times is growing and growing and growing. And that's really below. So how do you start factoring in this below the iceberg type data into understanding who your customers are? And if you don't, what kind of decisions are you going to end up making? So here's a little exercise for everyone should get the answer right. We look at a lot of companies that will make decisions off of this data. So you have a restaurant here, you have a restaurant there, you have a mechanic there. This is, maybe you have all of this data in every one of your records across your entire CRM, and you've run some reports to figure out how often do we convert these businesses, right? How often do we convert this one versus that one versus that one? And that will help us decide where we're going to go. Also, which ones are lookalikes, right? In this case, I would say restaurant 1 and restaurant 2 are lookalikes. So based off of this, which ones would you target? That's a question for you guys. Which ones would if I'm a marketer, I have to invest in trying to invest in more of this segment? Which one am I investing in?
Is it a segment or a target?
It's a segment. So all all restaurants that are San Francisco, 1 to 49 employees, under 2.5 million in revenue. Which ones am I going to invest in?
Isn't that the same as the middle one?
Yep. So you would invest in this one, same amount in this one and this one, right?
I don't know the data.
Right. Exactly. So this is really what we see most of the time, especially if you're thinking about holistically over all of our records. This is, we maintain that traditional firmographic data. And I'm gonna invest in the restaurants over the mechanic, and I'm gonna put equal investment into these restaurants. But when you look below that iceberg, you look at some of those web and social type signals. Facebook pages, do they have websites? Are they advertising online? Are they spending money? Do they have online ordering? You know, relative to my business, actually restaurant 1 converts at a much higher rate than restaurant 2. And actually mechanics convert higher than restaurant 1. So on my old decision, I would have invested in restaurant 1, restaurant 2, same amount, and I probably wouldn't have invested in mechanics. You look below that iceberg, and now you're making a more informed decision. You're making a more informed decision based on that additional data and that historical success that you've had. That seems like a very simple analysis, but I can't tell you how difficult. That's how we build a business on fixing that simple analysis. Is this resonating? Any questions at this point? So the other thing that gets pretty interesting here is when you build these segments, typically a lot of companies will do vertical segments, right? We target businesses, and these two. This is a vertical of restaurants. This is a vertical of 200 or below 200 or 2.5 million in revenue. Actually, there's arguments, and we see a lot of customers that will actually group these two together, and this is in a different segment because we're targeting the social savvy businesses, the businesses that are a little bit more progressive, the businesses that are actively investing in the growth of their company, because maybe we offer an advertising product, maybe we offer a recruiting product, and we want businesses who aren't just lifestyle businesses, who actually care about their business and are growing, and will be more susceptible to what we have to offer them. So the next decision you have to make is, again, which segment is best. So now we've just decided, okay, restaurant 1 is worth more money, right? They've converted at a higher rate. Let's just say we know our baseline conversion rate. And restaurant 1 is converting at 7x. So, and then let's say mechanic is converting at 5x. I should probably just change these to like restaurant and mechanic, shouldn't I? Instead of completely changing it. So now I have to make another decision. Okay, again, where am I going to invest? Based on, if you did all that analysis in the previous example, you arrive at that, which is more than most people can do. A lot of times people will use a predictive analytics tool or predictive lead scoring tool to arrive at that answer. Now what's your decision? Like, which one are you going to invest in?
I mean, based on that, but I'm
It's
guessing
not
you're
hard,
gonna
yeah.
tell us it's not.
You can tell I'm leading you off,
Yeah.
right? This is a cheap trick. Exactly. So, and again, this is where a lot of companies will use either a lot of internal resources to get to this answer. They'll use predictive analytics to get to this answer. And a lot of times we'll reshape a lot of their resources and a lot of their priorities to say, okay, stop, hold the phones, we're going after segment A. Segment A is our ideal customer profile. But based on the next decision on the part that's siloed, the market segmentation, which actually holds the most revenue potential for you. And that's when you need to actually look at that market segmentation in line with the customer segmentation. Look at those simultaneously to decide, okay, in segment A, we've penetrated about 10% of that market. We know about another 10%, but if you're talking consumer or you're talking SMB market, there's only about 1,000 more in the total market, the total addressable market available for us. How long is that going to satisfy a sales pipeline? How, from our conversions, how much potential revenue is within that market? That's not very much. If I know my sales team blows through 1,000 leads a day, that's not going to do you much. Now, you still might convert at a high rate, but the long-term revenue potential there is not very great. So let's look at segment B. Segment B, we have a similar number of customers, right? We have about 100 customers there, but the actual total addressable market, the total market that we can go after is about 10 times the size. So now as a marketer, if I'm looking at these, trying to make a decision on where to invest, I've now said, okay, I have 2 great segments from a conversion standpoint here. But I'm going to go ahead and invest way more of my time in this 5x one, because even if it converts at a lower rate, I'm going to have a lot more revenue generated from that segment. I'm going to have a lot more marketing driven revenue. And for those that aren't necessarily immersed in the marketing world and the marketing pressures, marketers are not, it's not Mad Men anymore, it's Math Men. It's kind of the thing that's people keep talking about. They are held accountable. They have to provide analytics to prove that they are driving revenue. They have to prove to the CXO that I know where our markets are going to be and where we're going to be driving revenue as a marketing team. We're going to rally around these top places to drive revenue and prove that. Prove out their decisions. So these types of analytical decisions are way more important for companies now. So here's just a quick example of a company that we worked with who actually did a lot of the hard work to get at that first answer themselves. So this is a software company in the payments, their payments/software. And they're a little bit more sophisticated than the average company, honestly. They had a few data analysts that were, and a few data scientists that were actually buying a lot of data. They were crawling a lot of sources on the web, connecting all of that into their CRM, appending all their records, then running reports in Salesforce, running reports in marketing automation, doing stuff in Excel. And they figured out that, oh my God, we convert at a way higher rate with companies that have a Foursquare profile. Among other signals. Like that was one of their KPIs. I just remember they kept on saying KPI, Foursquare. They have to be on Foursquare. We're like, are you sure they need to be on Foursquare? And are you sure that that's that big of a market? Like you've already added a bunch of different signals. Like that well might start running dry pretty quickly. And you have 3 people on this job, expensive people. They're in the Bay Area. I know. Let's see. Their average senior data analyst was $97K. They had 3 young data analysts on it. That's a lot of money to try to figure out this answer. And from a marketing perspective, actually then turning around and saying, hey, we need to run a campaign next week. Can you get your 3 data analysts on that? They come back a month and a half later, right? And say, here's your set, here's your market. This is where we'll start talking a little bit about Radius and get into the demo. We were able to connect to their CRM and pretty much immediately see, actually, on Twitter is a much larger KPI for you, one of those signals that really predicts success for you, and the market's about 3x. So they were able to take those analysts, move them to a little bit more fruitful jobs than doing a lot of the data, janitorial work, and really be able to identify markets that are a lot larger and converting at a higher rate. So that's really what we do. Those are the 2 problems that we look to solve: is customer segmentation, market segmentation, helping you figure out who are your ideal buyer profiles and how large are your markets. Really discovering those markets, targeting who's going to have a high propensity to convert, whether they're in your CRM or not. These are actually businesses that are in the customer CRM already. These are net new businesses. So Radius actually maintains an external data cloud of every business in the US, hundreds of signals that we update on a weekly basis. We essentially rebuild an entire economic graph of the US every week, over 50 billion data points. And when we connect to your CRM, we'll run this analysis to identify where you've had the most success, what signals predict success, how large are your top markets, and then tell you what all those signals are so you can apply that insight to actually run more targeted campaigns, increase those conversion rates from better messaging, better positioning, so that you can actually take that 5x segment and get it to 7x, get it to 10x, because you have higher conversions from your campaigns. Classic marketing problem, right? Right person or right company, right message, right time, right channel. And tying that all into things like Salesforce, into marketing automation, so you can actually go deliver that campaign. You know, we're not worried. There's plenty of companies that will send the email for you. We're worried about making sure you have the right data and decisions to actually launch that campaign. How much time do I have?
About 10 minutes.
Okay, so any questions from there? I'm going to skip that so we can actually show you the product. Just a little bit about the company. We were founded in 2009. Have to update that slide. I think we just hit 100 this week. Been fortunate enough to raise about $82 million in funding. And converting really a lot of companies ranging from Fortune 100 down to the startups. So, you know, it's not just about, a lot of companies don't have a lot of historical data to work with. And that's a lot of times one of the first questions is, how do you predict success if we're just going to market? You know, we really allow them to really slice and dice and define a really specific hypothesis based on what they know about their product today. And we maintain a real-time connection to Salesforce, so you can actually start testing markets and figure out where you're having traction, and then further invest from there. So a lot of examples of companies that are small, going to market, bringing a new product to market, don't really have that historical success. And then companies that do have a lot of historical success, and we're able to help them really figure out how to discover, target, and acquire those customers. So I'm going to just jump into the product. You don't need to see all this. You know, just before I do that, a few use cases you've kind of already seen. Understanding your customers, to understanding the market, identifying those lookalikes. Again, not just new businesses, but businesses that are already in your CRM, already in market automation, and getting those prioritized, whether that's for sales reps or for high-touch nurturing campaigns. You know, kind of converting this intelligence or these analytics into actual personalization based on what you know about the business. It's not just a segment that converts at 5x. They actually have a lot of commonalities. They have, you know, these features or these attributes that we can start factoring into the message that we craft for them. We have companies that will, they'll do segmentation, find a market, write a blog post about that market, then send them an email with that blog post, and that's what they use to start engaging with them. That's a smarter way of marketing and applying really all those below the surface type signals to better performance. Then actually measuring the performance, we also have a sales tool that will provide some of these insights right within Salesforce. And then making sure all of your campaigns are powered by what we believe is the most comprehensive data source on US businesses. So,
John, can we get into the
demo
product, please?
Yes, sir. All right. So, let's see. There we go. So really the main workflow that our customers take is going through, once they've connected to their CRM, we analyze all their historical performance, and we'll actually connect their customer data to their customer records to our records. So again, it's kind of connecting that above the iceberg data to our entire iceberg. Now that is what powers all the analytics within the platform. So you're no longer doing analysis just on what's maintained internally, but what is maintained in our external data cloud. So once you've actually connected, and that happens extremely fast, the process is going through and discovering those top markets, really targeting those prospects that beat your benchmarks, and then actually deploying a campaign and measuring the results. So I'll hop over here into our Insights dashboard. And Insights is really where those companies that have historical performance find a lot of value. So quickly you can see, I'll zoom out a little bit. Quickly you can see that we've connected to this mimicked customer demo account, and we've analyzed about 28,000 records. So this might be like a point of sale company that we work with. And from there, we've broken down, what is your definition of loss? What's your definition of won? And that can vary from, who are your top customers spending the most money, all the way down to, who's just a qualified lead. Depending if you really need to drive more pipeline, then it might be lower in the funnel, it might be higher in the funnel if you're looking for people that are going to be big spenders. Then we're going to look at that open pipeline. People are currently in your pipeline that you can go after. And then we have that entire addressable market within the US available. Based off that one loss analysis, we create a success rate. So that's really your benchmark. That's your baseline that you're looking to beat. And from there, you can start to see all the signals that we maintain and the total addressable market and your penetration within those markets across every different signal. So again, this is from the firmographic information, the traditional information, like cities, categories, into SIC and NAICS codes, all the way down into some of those more web and social signals. So something like, is the business on Twitter? Do they have a website? Are they advertising online? How many businesses are there? How many have we converted? How many are currently in our pipeline? And really what you can do from here is start overlaying those signals to create those top performing markets. So going ahead and selecting and applying and seeing those analytics updating in real time. What I'm going to do from here is, just since we are limited on time, go to a segment that I've already created. Additionally, you can go through and actually build a segment if you want to understand how large is a certain market. You can actually apply hundreds of different signals, and as you select and apply those, you're going to see your penetration rate in real time. But again, I want to show a segment that I've already created. So, say I'm a marketer. I know that we've won some customers in Chicago. We ran a direct mail or cold calling campaign or something, a social advertising campaign in that market. I want to know exactly, how many I've converted, who's converting at a higher rate, how large is the market. So I go in and I've created this Chicago spas, and maybe I saw, okay, I'm converting at a little bit higher rate for businesses that are on Facebook, across my entire database. So I can go ahead and create an unlimited number of segments with radius, see my penetration. As businesses are closed or won, we maintain that constant connection. So if I deploy new ones, they'll go into open. If I win one, they'll go over to the one column. But really, one of the big keys is, again, you can provide all the analytics and all the decisions in the world, but how do you start actually taking action and driving new demand, driving acquisition? We've built this really seamless deployment profile that connects into Salesforce and marketing automation to take action on new records. So start driving new demand, creating custom lead sources, adding lead owners, adding Salesforce campaigns, or again taking action on some of those open records. So if I've said that this market has converted at a really high rate for me based on those analytics, I'm going to go ahead and take these 18 records and make sure our sales reps get in touch with them tomorrow. Make sure they prioritize their time on those open records. Or I'm introducing a new product. Let's give those one records a call, or send them an email and put in the subject line, you have 2,000 likes on Facebook, and our product's going to get you to 4,000. So really adding that intelligence based on your product to better convert those prospects. And lastly, really back within the segments dashboard is really where you're going to be able to manage, organize all your segments, and in real time understand where you're having traction, how much of that market have you penetrated, how much is left, what attributes actually make up these segments that I'm currently targeting, and being really organized and strategic with your customer acquisition. So as you can see, the design is really clean, really fresh, and we put a lot of time into making the product as easy to use as possible. A lot of our clients aren't sophisticated, analytics people, so we want to make this as clean and easy to use as possible. and we really are focused on, we productize everything. So a lot of companies out there is really about, we're going to custom build something for you, custom model something for you. There's a lot of really awesome products that are kind of in the oven right now at Radius that will take this to the next level, and will be fully productized, and really excited to bring those out over the next year. One little plug. I don't know if we can share the presentations, but we have a bunch of case studies, and tomorrow we're actually doing our first series called the Radius Innovation Series, which will be highlighting some of the products that we're releasing. So a big unique thing with us is that we do release every 2 weeks, which for enterprise software company is fairly unique. So we'll be doing this reoccurring webinar to feature a lot of these releases that we're doing. So pretty excited about that. Woo! All right.
Cool.
I'll be sticking around. I think we have a little sign-up sheet or something. Happy to talk to people and nerd out about this stuff. So appreciate the time. Any initial questions? I don't know if I have any time for questions, but yeah.
Very cool. When you deploy to Salesforce, that's pushing like full contact data leads into Salesforce? Or?
Yeah, so for new records, you're going to get everything from a contact. I don't know what happened. You're going to get contact information, business information, like standard lead fields in Salesforce, addresses, phone numbers, URLs. And we do have an additional feature where you can deploy like social and web information as well.
Cool.
Yep.
Let's say I had 100 companies that are already our customers, and let's say we've already done some segmentation, so maybe we've pulled out like 50 of them that we think are very high value.
Sure.
Or maybe we've segmented on other features like whatever their behavior is on our platform. Could you utilize those segmentations, however they might have formed, to build a kind of a unique list?
Yeah, it's really funny going back to like the pace of innovation thing. I know our sales guys over there are like shaking their head because they get this question all the time. And last week we released what we call custom signals. So you can not only segment by what we maintain, but also what you maintain. So that can be really anything. Anything in your Salesforce, whether that's a pick list or you've added that to a campaign in Salesforce, or marketing automation, you can segment by not only our signals, but your signals as well.
So, in reference to marketing automation, is the data flowing strictly through a Salesforce interface, or do you also connect directly with marketing automation platforms?
Yeah, great question. So the native integration is through Salesforce today, and so we actually, it's interesting. Anyone like built any integrations for marketing automation or know a lot about them? Decent amount. Not as easy as doing that in Salesforce. So it's actually fairly limited of what you can build directly into something like Marketo. So actually the way that we integrate into Salesforce really provides a lot of functionality into that same bi-directional link within any marketing automation. Working on native integrations where we see there's additional capabilities. But today, a lot of most of our customers are utilizing Radius analytics and segmentation and applying or delivering those campaigns through a marketing automation tool via Salesforce. Yep.
Yeah, I'm just I'm very interested in segment customers, and I just have curious like what's the algorithm to segment customer?
What's the algorithm?
Yeah.
Woo!
I'm just curious.
Yeah, so I would put you in touch probably first with like our recruiting team because we're hiring if anyone's interested. And two, you know, a lot of the algorithms that we will use for things that will recommend customers for you. There's a variety of algorithms that are part of our kind of, I guess, secret sauce that even if I told you what they were, I wouldn't really know. So not my space. We'll be fully transparent with that. So happy to talk more about that. But yep, cool.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks everybody.